The cases of sexual rituals inside of Israel, sadistic sexual rituals, are reaching new highs now. So have a look at this. This was reported in the Jerusalem Post. Survivors are testifying MKs participated in sadistic rituals, sadistic sexual rituals involving minors. Doctors, educators, police officers, past and present members of Knesset were involved in these abuses. That was just posted a couple of days ago. Several women on Tuesday, they testified in the Knesset about sexual abuse that they suffered as minors as part of, look at this here, religious ceremonies. The testimonies came during a joint meeting of the Knesset Committee of the Status of Women and Gender Equality and the Special Committee on Young Israelis chaired by MK Naam Al-Izmi. People in the Israeli Knesset participating in sadistic religious sexual rituals, and some of them are already in the Israeli Knesset. One of the survivors said the following: I experienced ritual abuse over many years until my late teens and was forced to harm other children. I chose to speak out and make my voice heard. I received threats after revealing my story. From age 5 to age 20, I was harmed in these ceremonies. Can you understand what we're talking about? The scale that we're talking about. Pedophilia, sexual abuse, and rituals that are considered to be religious too, with previous and current MKs and doctors and police officers. And so as in, you know, the elite society in Israel abusing, having these rings of rituals, sexual rituals with children from the age 5 onwards. Can you comprehend that? She received testimonies from several women who claimed that doctors, educators, police officers, and past and present members of the Knesset were involved in these abuses. And this woman said that she had to operate and convince maybe other children to participate. Similar to the Epstein ring, but even far worse. Because with Epstein, I mean, the youngest we were hearing about like mid-teens, I mean, early to mid-teens, is talking about 5-year-olds. With people still in the Israeli Knesset, still serving. They don't cease to surprise us, these people. They don't cease to surprise us, and now they're actually giving us more information about these militias of terror that they're operating inside of the Gaza Strip, including ISIS-linked groups, the ones that we've been speaking about in the past couple of days. And now they're saying that these people are actually operating not only with Israel, they're not just dealing with Israel, they're also dealing with prostitution, they're dealing with crime, they're dealing with drugs, all sorts of criminality. So we had this report here in the Israeli website Ynet, arming the militias on Netanyahu's orders. And here they're saying it was impossible to guarantee that they will not shoot at soldiers, as in the IDF. So in this report, initially they were trying to show as if, you know, they're not fully under our thumb. You know, they might have some sort of hostility towards us. But later on in this report, they're confirming that these organizations were also dealing with sex trafficking and drugs, as we can see here. Look, But according to them, right, some people are claiming that they're not identified with ISIS, but they are close in contact with them for economic reasons. Look how Israel tries to kind of play itself out of certain things. So they are not identified with ISIS in Sinai, but they are close in contact with them for economic purposes. So yeah, I mean, I'm not ISIS, but I deal with ISIS for economic reasons. Or tomorrow they'll come up with a report and tell you, oh, yeah, they deal with ISIS for educational purposes or for mutual interests. You know, we deal with ISIS in Sinai, but not as if not identified with them, just, reasons. It is true, they added, that this is their main driving force and that they are mainly involved in drug smuggling, prostitution, and protection to increase wealth, and less in the Palestinian national issue. So, I mean, uh, I don't know if Israel is trying to kind of, or Israeli media, they're trying to kind of make life easier for us or what, but I mean, they're confirming that they are running ISIS groups and they are telling you that these people deal with prostitution and drugs and smuggling protection to increase their wealth. And that's a report in the Israeli mainstream media. And the other report about the rituals, about the sexual rituals that they've had with pedophilia, children from age 5 up to late teens, with MK still serving, powerful people within the community, doctors, police officers, Lord knows who else as well, still operating, by the way, according to the witnesses. Some people are still there, clearly roaming around freely. And that's in the mainstream media of Israel, as if, nothing is happening. I mean, yeah, I mean, life is easier for me, to be fair, That does make life easier. I don't have to dig too much. And why? Because mainstream media will post that. Moving on to the next thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Abu Ubaidah. Abu Ubaidah, the spokesperson of Al-Qassam Brigades. Kataib al-Shahid Azzuddin al-Qassam, he's back and he made a new statement. And I wanted to share some of the things that he said with you based on the recent developments that are happening inside of the Gaza Strip and the humiliation that the genocide terror army is facing against the resistance fighters in Gaza. I mean, humiliation after humiliation, I'm telling you. This last campaign by the Palestinian resistance, David Stones, has been a nightmare on the Israeli terror forces. They're taking down buildings with like 12 or 15 terrorist Israeli soldiers, APCs, all sorts, 105s, everything under the sun, increasing their attacks. So Abu Ubaidah, he had a statement, short statement that he made today. And he said, the enemy has no choice but to stop the aggression or face more coffins. So, as in either stop the war or you're going to go back in coffins to your genocide state. Abu Ubaidah, spokesperson of Al-Qassam Brigades, confirmed that the losses incurred by the Israeli enemy today in Khan Younis and Jabalia are the extension of a series of qualitative operations and a model for how the enemy forces will be confronted wherever they are present. Abu Ubaidah said in a statement on Friday evening, the enemy's people have no choice but to force their leadership to stop the war of extermination or prepare to receive more of their sons in coffins. He added, our mujahideen, the heirs of the prophets, continue to throw David's stones at the chariots of Gideon, or Gideon's chariots, crushing the tyranny of the occupation and causing it to perish. They record with their heroism the victory of the oppressed believing group over the arrogant, oppressive group. And they continue this report. 6 Zionist soldiers were killed and 17 others were wounded, some seriously, in special military operations by the Mujahideen in the Gaza Strip. and Israel is confirming. So Abu Ubaidah, in short, is saying David stones, the Palestinian David stones, are crushing Gideon's chariots or Netanyahu's wheelchair. You choose. That was the latest statement coming from Abu Ubaidah after, well, we haven't heard from him in several weeks, but now he's back and he made this statement for us. Now, the final thing that I wanted to talk to you about, Europe is beginning to realize that something is going wrong. I mean, 18 months into a live streamed genocide where, I mean, if you showed what happened in Gaza in the past 18 months to a jellyfish, they would know that it's a genocide, let alone a human being. So what? I mean, are jellyfish more intelligent than European leaders? What is it exactly? But anyway, the European leaders now are trying to kind of say that there's a problem here, you know. It might be, you know, a war crime, you know. It might be a genocide, we're not sure. However, things are moving, yeah, towards the right direction, but, you know, slower than a snail that has multiple injuries. Now, they're saying this, the EU. Costa hence EU could penalize Israel over Gaza offensive. Diplomats are weighing plans to downgrade ties. Again, 18 months into a genocide. 19 months into a genocide, or 20 months soon. Despite opposition from some capitals. These capitals, by the way, we were talking about Hungary and the Czech Republic. Germany too, probably. But Hungary and the Czech Republic are very, very staunch supporters of Netanyahu and Israel. Whereas Ireland is almost fully on the side of Palestine. Spain is taking a very strong position. Other countries too, like Norway and what have you, there's a shift. There's a shift. But listen, I mean, there was a statement from Canada, Britain, and France the other day that was also, you know, not the traditional statement, right? But what is he saying, Costa? He said that the agreement that we have with Israel forces Israel to abide by certain laws, humanitarian laws, basic human rights. Now, we may find that Israel is breaching human rights. Again, you know, almost 2 years into a genocide, and Europe is now realizing that, oh, hold on a second, Israel's breaching human rights. Oh my God. 20,000 children, 50,000 in total, tens of thousands under the rubble. And now you're realizing, يخرب بيتك, as we say in Arabic. Good morning. But anyway, according to them, we might have to cut this agreement, but they can't cut the ties completely with Israel. And why? Why are they saying that? Because apparently for them to cut ties with Israel completely, there needs to be a consensus. Oh, everyone needs to agree that they need to cut the ties with Israel. But Hungary and the Czech Republic apparently are still taking very, very supportive positions for Israel. As a matter of fact, Benjamin Netanyahu went and met Orban. He was in Hungary. So Netanyahu was in Europe. And that was an attempt from Netanyahu to show people that, look, I can put my foot down in Europe and you can't do anything about it. Despite that, he was petrified. He was trying to get guarantees from multiple countries, making sure that I can fly over to the United States. Because after he met with Orban, he went to see Donald Trump for the meeting he was invited to. Basically a telling off coming from Donald Trump when he told him that you need to be reasonable, basically. And he made him hear a few things that he didn't really like. So he's still supporting him. And according to this report here, Europe cannot completely cut ties with Israel unless there's consensus. But there can be a move taken that will harm Israel, at least by the majority of the states, because they will be voting against the agreement that they have with Israel, because this agreement obliges Israel to adhere to certain things, like humanitarian laws, basic human rights. And of course, again, now they're saying, oh, Israel might be in breach of, human rights. But it's serious. Why is it serious? Because 2 weeks ago, the Israeli foreign minister, he went to Europe just over 2 weeks ago. He met with European leaders, and they already told him about this. They already told him about the next expected moves. Netanyahu had an option to reach an agreement. He didn't. And now he's facing this. And again, look at how much time Europe has given Benjamin Netanyahu. Of course, the United States is a whole different story. Marco Rubio was was imposing sanctions on Iran and the ICC today. He's saying that how dare the ICC have these illegal moves against the Israeli prime minister? Sanctions. Poor ICC and ICJ trying to preserve, what's left of this international judicial system, only to be met with Marco Rubio and with the American administration threatening to kill them, basically. But this could cause a lot of headache to Israel. Why? Because Israel is a very big economic partner to Europe, both when it comes to export and import. Israel relies heavily on a lot of tech being imported from Europe. Israel is a big exporter to Europe when it comes to technology. Again, there's a lot of trade happening. Lots of businesses are sold and purchased from both countries, startups too. Israel has a very big interest in the security market or the arms industry, especially with many European countries too. So that can cause them big problems. And these moves that are being proposed now by these European countries could give Israel a headache. Because who will they have after this? Okay, we get it. The United States, they support them. They fund them too. Europe is second. If Europe takes this action, even if we keep the United States, it's a very, very hard hit. And by the way, observers in Israel, politicians, and people at the top levels of the political echelon are saying that this would be a case of national threat. It would be a national disaster for Israel. Some people said that it would lead to the destruction of the state of Israel. If Europe starts to cut economic ties, if they don't have the same relationship that they had with Israel, and if they start to boycott them. But that's where Benjamin Netanyahu is leading the country, and clearly Europe, after the threats that they have made to Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu, they are going ahead with some moves at last.